This is Lee Hargrave, certified strength and conditioning specialist, former rocket scientist, and sorry, ladies, I'm taken.
This is Isis Hargrave, certified coach.
You couldn't even take that seriously.
Certified.
Okay, should we just start it?
This is Isis Hargrave, certified OPEX coach, nutrition guru, and I don't like chocolate.
This is Jared Hunsaker, certified CrossFit coach, facility manager, and certified head dunker in the full plunge.
And you found the enduraLAB podcast where we dive into science behind fitness,
The ins and outs of better health.
And lifestyle strategies to help you live your best life.
You guys ready?
Let's go.
So the cold plunge head dunking certification only requires 2 seconds.
Okay,
Nice.
noted. Yeah. Well, then I'm part of the club,
Let's go. We're
I
both
should
certified.
definitely get that certification.
and we need to print up forms. So how's everybody's Valentine? I know your Valentine's Day was awesome, right?
My Valentine's Day was awesome. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I love Valentine's Day. I really do. I know some people think it's a Hallmark holiday and, you know, like just expensive overall.
Right.
I mean, it's the Super Bowl of holidays for florists, chocolatiers. I don't like chocolate, obviously. And it's like, you were talking about this the other day, like, even if you want to go eat out, everything's like pre-fixed menu, like a fixed
it's a set
menu.
Usually they jack up the prices. I do not. I think that's a young couple's game, is going out on Valentine's Day. Like we did our Valentine's Day a week before.
Yeah.
You know.
At a restaurant, but it was
yeah.
really good. The Boca Osteria Romana.
Yeah, shout out if you live in Fort Worth.
Oh my gosh.
You need to go check it out.
Sounds fancy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But Jared, what do you think about the holiday?
You know, I like to keep it simple. Just put on a movie, let my dog sit on the couch, and we just watch the movie together.
Yeah.
Oh, because it doesn't have to be for just, you know, someone you're interested in, want to be with, I guess. It could be like a Galentine's or like time with your family.
Yeah, just chill time too.
Yeah.
You know? But yes, Jared is single, ladies.
Yeah.
So,
Hit me up.
yep, shout out there to Jared.
I do see it kind of as not a cash grab a little bit, but someone told me yesterday or a couple of days ago that every day should be like Valentine's Day.
For sure.
That the government is just trying to get money.
And well, brands are trying to get money. Did y'all see it? I showed y'all in the notes of this show that those Golden Goose sneakers, which are awful, I think. Sorry, and they're so expensive.
You're gonna make some people upset.
I don't care. They look dirty, but there's a pair on there that
Ouch.
says like "love you" and it has like love. Like, okay, they're kind of cute, y'all. They're $740.
Yeah, but isn't that the regular price of one of their shoes?
I
or
mean,
is it
yes,
even okay?
yes, but I feel like you're only gonna wear those shoes like around Valentine's Day, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. I could wear love you stuff all the time. I think most of my clients understand how much affection that I usually show.
I feel like you're a gift giver. Like you
I
would
am
for
a gift
sure. Like with our kids, he got like a cute little Nike red sweatshirt, and Jack got a new pair of like Nike recovery shoes and got candy and stuff. I'm more of experiences. Like Jack was like, "Mommy, are you making Valentine's Day breakfast?" And like my love language is food, so I usually feed. You know, I bought you a pie for Valentine's Day. And so I think that I like experiences. So yes, go out to dinner, go get a couple's massage, you know.
I think it's just one of those things that, I don't really buy into Valentine's Day as much, but I have fun, celebrating something.
Again,
It doesn't,
right.
It doesn't
Everyone
matter.
loves celebrations.
Yeah.
So why not?
Yep.
Right.
It's an excuse for us to bring the family together, so let's take it.
I like the discounted candy and stuff. I guess
the
that'd be
day
today.
after,
So I'm
It's
go
time to
Target
hit
later.
up Target.
$20 will go a long way.
Yes. But yeah, so speaking of experiences, we didn't work out together yesterday, but we've worked out together many times. That would be a great date, something to do, and then jump in the cold plunge maybe afterwards.
Well, sauna, right? And we'll talk a little bit more about that later.
Oh yeah, you don't want to go right after.
Depends on the workout, right? But you got to wait and listen until we tell you about that.
Exactly. The protocols.
Yeah, today we're going to dive into a topic that's gained a lot of attention, I say, over the past couple of years. The benefits of cold plunge and sauna therapy. We obviously have these at enduraLAB, so we are big fans of them. These tools have been used for centuries, but now we have kind of modern research and from experts to back up their effectiveness.
Yeah, I'm pumped for this topic today. Cold plunges and saunas have been game changers for my recovery, and I can't wait to talk about the science behind them.
Yeah, me too. I love incorporating both the sauna and the cold plunge in my daily routine or just my workout routine. Has helped me a lot. I feel like gain muscle with the sauna and then just prepare for an intense workout with the cold plunge.
Absolutely. So let's cool down this talk of Valentine's Day, and we'll start off with the cold plunge. We know a lot about how cold exposure affects the nervous system and metabolism. This is because when you immerse yourself in cold water or take a cold shower or expose yourself to the elements, your body goes through or into a sympathetic nervous system activation. This is your fight or flight feeling. This triggers the release of norepinephrine, which increases alertness, improves mood, and even helps with fat metabolism. I know that Andrew Huberman points out that it can increase dopamine levels by 250% because that's what usually my clients will start with, right? You know, like that dopamine hit, which is why so many people feel that euphoric feeling after a cold plunge.
And it's really hard to sell that feeling. You really have to experience it. Like I would look at you and be like, you're joking. I'm not going to feel good after this. But it's really a cool feeling.
You really can't match it. And just the increase in dopamine is kind of motivation enough to just get in the cold water.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, just think about when you come from the outside and it's super cold and you come in and you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
right? You get that little energy rush, right? It's definitely a good wake-up call, which is why I do it in the morning. But
Yeah. Most of the studies use ice baths or cold water immersion to the neck. Those are best, but cold showers definitely work too, and they're most accessible. Cryo is also an option, but there's a few things to consider with the cryo. So temperature and method of cooling. Cold plunge involves full or partial submersion in water, typically between 39 and 59 degrees Fahrenheit. The water directly transfers cold to the body, leading to convective heat loss. That is direct contact with cold water.
can I talk nerdy there?
Yes.
Water is going to make that quicker. Okay, so depending on if you walk outside, you're not going to lose heat as fast. You get into water of the same temperature, you're going to lose heat a lot faster, which is why we like the cold plunge. So when we talk about that, stepping into a cryo chamber, they've got to cool it down.
Well, I'm going to go into that. Yeah, they use extremely cold air, often nitrogen cooled, at temperatures ranging from negative 166 degrees to negative 256 degrees. And that air cools the skin through radiative and evaporative cooling, not direct water immersion.
Yeah, so you got to go into a lot colder air. There is a risk of a nitrogen burn. The old school methods, you'd actually have to rotate in a circular enclosure. Now you basically walk into a cooler. So you walk in with your underwear and usually something to cover the feet, something to cover the hands, and maybe something over the ears. And you cannot be damp because that will freeze on the skin. So,
and then in the cold plunge, your body gradually cools over time. And then in the cryo, your skin cools instantly, and actually it doesn't really lower your body temperature that much, interestingly enough. And so you can do typically 2 to 10 minutes in the cold plunge versus you can only do 2 to 3 minutes max in the cryotherapy.
And with cryotherapy, you can only go once.
Correct.
So it's only one time in a cryotherapy chamber. With cold plunge, you can cycle it, which is we'll talk about later.
And so some physiological effects of the cold plunge. So it causes vasoconstriction, so narrowing of the blood cells, followed by vasodilation, widening of the blood vessels when warming up and improving circulation. The cold plunge reduces inflammation by limiting blood flow and metabolic processes. It engages the mammalian dive reflex that slows the heart rate, and it promotes parasympathetic activation, so a relaxation response. It's more intense thermal stress response, leading to increased, this is norepinephrine
Nailed it.
release, which improves mood, focus, and resilience. And it also can lower core body temperature, requiring that active rewarming post-exposure. Where cryotherapy, again, just rapidly cools the skin. It triggers the vasoconstriction.
Yeah. So what that is,
Peripheral.
guys, vasoconstriction is when, think about your blood vessels constricting and squeezing the blood. So a lot of times when you're in a very cold environment, whether that is outside cryo chamber or a cold plunge, it's sending all the blood to your core because it's got this feeling of, I'm going to freeze to death. I'm going to try to save myself by sending all this warm blood to the core. And so you get vasoconstriction. And when you get out of that and when you get into a sauna, you get vasodilation. So then everything expands and blood flow increases. So
So, right. So when you get in the cold plunge, that happens, and you get out of the cold plunge, and that happens. But in a cryo, you're triggering that vasoconstriction, but your body's still warm.
Correct. Yeah, you still get vasoconstriction, right? We've done both.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like cold plunge is safer. That's why we chose it at the gym.
Well, and so I guess to say, like, cold plunge is better for tissue recovery, muscle soreness due to direct heat transfer. It's more beneficial for reducing DOMS and promoting metabolic health. And the cryo is more short-term benefits, like short-term pain relief, inflammation reduction. It's often used more localized than the cold water immersion.
Yeah.
And that's why we chose it at enduraLAB. There's so many more benefits, we think, of doing a cold plunge than a cryo.
Yeah, not only results, but safety.
Right.
I feel like the cold plunge too is more almost applicable to life situations. Like if you gotta go save a kid from a cold water, you kind of already know how to brace the cold.
Yeah, just dive in head first,
Yeah,
like
just
you
go.
head plunger.
You know how to breathe. You're not gonna be freaking out.
Yep.
Jack would never save anyone. He can barely put his toe in the water.
You know what's funny is a cold pool, the kid has no problem. If there was
That's true.
he jumps into cold water.
And he never wants a jacket on a cold day.
Yeah.
But the cold plunge to him, he
Oh my
just can't
gosh.
do it.
So funny to watch.
He cannot do it. Isla loves it. The girl can sit in there. She's like, oh, yay. And then I remember she had a sleepover one time and she wanted to cold plunge with her friend. So when they woke up, she was like, okay, let's go cold plunge. And the poor girl didn't want a cold plunge. And Isla got upset that she didn't want a cold plunge with her. I was like, Isla, you can't force your friends to get in cold water. Like, we do it for fun, but they don't.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like, I'm not coming over anymore. She makes me get in cold water.
That friend still wanted to come over, but
But yeah, after cold plunge, you always feel amazing. And then what I like to do is before I work out, especially kind of after midday, I'm kind of hit a wall, cold plunge, and then I feel ready for my workout. I'm kind of amped up, even just a minute in the cold plunge, ready to go, work out, and then hit the sauna afterwards.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that when we talk about both therapies, and it's a good segue to kind of start talking about sauna, you don't have to always do them at the same time. Like you, I prefer to do my cold plunge in the morning, okay? And we'll kind of talk about how long we want people to be in a cold plunge and timing in a little bit. But like I said, on the other end of the spectrum, let's talk about the sauna. There's plenty of research that links sauna to improve cardiovascular health, which just stop right there. If I had to sell a sauna, cardiovascular health, that's number one, right? And you think about killers out there, cardiovascular health is always at the top. but it also helps with stress resilience and even longevity. Isis, I would say you are our sauna champion. All right. Why do you love the heat?
So I was born for the heat. I love to sweat.
Half Puerto Rican, half Ecuadorian.
Yes.
You know?
I'd pick being hot over being cold any day. I'm seriously one of those people that sits in their car, in their hot car during the summer. Like you come out of an air conditioned building, you get in your car. I just sit there and just like soak in the heat. I love to run like 3 to 4 p.m. on summer days, and people are like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, my fair Irish skin, I'm thinking about how can I run during the dark in the summer? And Isis, it's like noon. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for a run. I'm like, well, good luck. Hope you're hydrated.
I love it. Okay. But back to business. Saunas induce a heat shock response, activating heat shock proteins or HSPs that help repair damaged cells and improve muscle function. And so when you're exposed to high temperatures, like in the sauna, cells experience mild stress, and this triggers the production of those HSPs. And I didn't really know what these HSPs were. I just, I love the heat, so I don't ask questions.
Yeah.
But people do.
And you feel better.
And I want to inform the people. So one of the benefits or how they work is they repair damaged proteins. So proteins in the bodies can become misfolded or damaged due to stress, inflammation, or aging. And then those HSPs refold or remove these damaged proteins, preventing cellular dysfunction. So that's really cool that it can do that. It can remodel these cells. It enhances cellular resistance. So HSPs protect cells from future stressors, making them more resistant to damage. And that's great for longevity and disease prevention. They reduce inflammation, so they can regulate the immune response, reducing chronic inflammation that contributes to things like arthritis, heart disease, and neurodegeneration. Again, so many selling points. I'm not even done. It supports muscle recovery and growth. So exercise-induced stress causes micro tears in muscle fibers, and HSPs assist in repairing these fibers, reducing muscle soreness and improving endurance. So that's going to be important for us when we train for our mountain event. They help boost mitochondrial health. So mitochondria, the energy powerhouse of cells, benefit from HSPs, leading to increased energy production and overall metabolic efficiency. So if you're looking to optimize your recovery, your longevity, athletic performance, heat exposure should be a key part of your routine, and you do not have to convince me. I'm there.
Yeah.
Me too. I've heard that regular sauna use is linked to a 40% lower risk of cardiovascular disease, and that's just huge right there. Using a sauna regularly is one of the simplest and most effective ways to improve cardiovascular health. It lowers blood pressure, reduces inflammation, and mimics the effects of exercise, making it a valuable tool for heart disease prevention.
But just because it mimics does not mean you get to sit in a sauna and not exercise. Okay, so we're going to talk
I feel
about
like you
how
have to say those things.
No, you do. They're like, oh, sweet. Jared just told me I got to sit in the sauna. I'm like, and then Coach Lee comes around the corner like, hey, did you work out today? Yeah, I sauna. No, did you work out? All right, so it does not mimic strength training. But some studies suggest that combining the sauna and cold exposure can maximize some of these results, especially like stress resilience and recovery, which brings us to protocols. Okay, so let's break down how we use them and how we encourage our athletes to use these protocols or these services effectively. All right, so we're going to go over some of the best protocols for using cold plunges and saunas, but we're going to break them apart. So we're just going to do looking at one therapy versus the other, and then we're going to talk about how we would blend them, okay? So let's talk about cold plunge. This is one of my favorites, of course, but what's our optimal way that we suggest to athletes, Isis?
Right. Huberman suggests aiming for 11 minutes of total cold exposure per week, broken up into 1 to 3 minute plunges per session. The key is to stay in long enough to trigger the adaptation, but not so long that you suppress recovery. He states that the water should be between 39 to 50 degrees, although exercise psychologist and nutrition scientist Stacy Sims recommends a water temperature of around 56 degrees for women to experience the benefits of cold water immersion therapy. So we get it a little bit warmer.
Right.
Lucky. For athletes, one thing to note for cold plunging is the timing. Cold plunging immediately after strength training can actually blunt the hypertrophy response. So if building muscle is your goal, then I'd wait at least 4 to 6 hours before submerging into the cold water.
You can always cold plunge after like a cardio session.
Yeah,
right?
so when you're endurance training and you want that inflammation to go away quicker, you definitely want to hop in a cold plunge or do an ice bath after.
But that's why, Jared, you were talking earlier, you cold plunge before a workout. So you can cold plunge before a strength training session. But what I even wait, I'll wait even longer than the 4 to 6 hours. Like I'll wait until the next day. So I'm usually working out around 8 a.m. I'm cold plunging the next day for my morning coffee at 4 a.m. That would be my preferred. So I'm almost giving it 24 hours because you want inflammation to build for strength and hypertrophy. So
Also, what are your thoughts on when you want to be warm up for your workout, right? So does the cold plunge really affect the strength session at that point?
no, I mean, it can actually give you a little bit of a boost. Okay. I think people are actually doing cold plunges even before like hot runs as well. So obviously you want to still warm up, right? I don't think I would hop into a cold plunge and then go try to 1 rep max my deadlift.
Right.
I still want to, and there is benefits to getting out of a cold plunge and then going into like riding a bike, flushing the legs or allowing that new blood to rush through, especially if you had maybe more inflammation in your legs when you went into the cold plunge. Using them afterwards can actually help that recovery process. I know that when we used to do cryo, I would hop on a treadmill immediately afterwards, and then I would feel great because we were using that to recover after long runs. But a few things to note, we said 11 minutes. So when I tell my athletes, hey, the goal is to get 11 minutes throughout the 7 days. So when you think about that, it's a little bit easier to accomplish, and it's why most of my sessions are short. 1 to 3 minutes. It's not a contest how long you can be in a cold plunge in one sitting, okay? And I know I've had people come out and they're like, oh, yeah, I made it 10 minutes. I'm like, man, what a waste. Because if you think about what's happening, and Isis talked about it earlier about vasoconstriction and then vasodilation, if I had a 10-minute session, I'd rather go in and constrict, come out, and let the blood flush. And then I'm going to go back in, constrict, let the blood flush. It's more important to cycle short bouts because that's kind of what we're going into and what we want in the recovery. So again, 1 to 3 minutes at a time. You want the water cold enough where you feel like you want to get out. And then I always tell people just wait 10 more seconds, right?
Right, because if you're sitting in there, it will warm up. Your body will get used to that cold, and that's when I get out.
Yeah, because once you make it past a certain point, you can go as long as you want. And our cold plunge makes it a little bit tougher because you have a jet of cold water.
Pushing that cold water on you.
So we've been doing some form of cold plunging for a long time. We used to do ice baths. And if you are doing like an ice bath at home and you're sitting in pretty stationary water, you actually want to move your body when you're in it. And if you guys try this, you'll know, because that little layer of water around the body will warm up and you're like, oh, this isn't bad. But as soon as you move your legs, you're like, holy cow, it's cold again.
Right.
So depending on type of cold plunging you're doing, cold shower, obviously you're going to have a constant stream of cold water, although you can only get that for maybe 2 months in Texas. Right?
And then when you get out of the cold plunge and you're not sure when to get back in, it's usually when your body feels warm again. Like you have to really pay attention to your body. And that's something I'm kind of guilty of too, to take my mind off the cold. Sometimes I'll have my phone and I'll be like doing something for a minute just to distract myself. But really that's not great because I'm not allowing myself to listen to my body and be in tune with what's happening. So when you get out of the cold plunge, you'll see your skin is red, you're freezing, but about a minute or 30 to 45 seconds afterwards, you might feel warm again, and then you get back in.
A lot of times we'll cycle together. So obviously I'll go in, I'll come out, Isis will get into the cold plunge, maybe Isla gets into the cold plunge, and then I'll go. And when it's on the weekend and it's sunny outside, I prefer just to go stand and naturally warm up under the sun.
It was fun cold plunging with Kiki and Jared the other day. Jared's like trying to pump me up in the cold plunge. I'm like, Jared, I can't do that.
Wants the silence. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and we like
Knows.
a groups. I know that people want those sessions to be private, right? But when you guys cold plunge, usually the first session we'll go in with you as long as you're okay with that, because our cold plunge is in a room, and we really feel like you need a coach, because when you go into the cold plunge, there are definitely some things that you want to know, right, Jared? You actually do a lot of the coaching. Mm-hmm. So what are a few tips when you're getting into a cold plunge that they should know?
I would say breathing has got to be the most important. So before you go into the water, let out a big exhale. And even before that, I'll kind of just get my breathing right, take a few deep breaths, get the rhythm. And then after or before I do my next exhale, I'll go into the plunge, kind of let out all my air. And then as soon as I hit that water, my natural instinct is to kind of like breathe in really quick. And if you don't exhale before that, it could lead to hyperventilation, making getting the cold just that much harder. I'll say deep breaths, just focus on breathing. And then also if you're aiming for shoulders, trying to get your whole body in,
I hate
just
that.
slide right in all the way to the shoulders. If you get stuck at the hips, chances are you're not going to want to go farther. You're like, I'll do it next cycle.
I don't know. I go into like my waist and then maybe for like a minute, and then the last like 30 seconds, I'll go to the shoulders.
I'll do a 2-breath cycle. I'll do an exhale as I get into the cold plunge, and then I'll take another inhale at the waist, and then I'll do another exhale and drop down.
Yeah, I need to get better at that. I mean,
but it is. The first 30 seconds are the worst. Right? So if you can just kind of get control of your breath, you can make it happen.
Again, it's just such a hard thing to sell. We're sitting here like, oh, it sucks to get in.
Well, I mean, when you come out,
that you feel amazing.
And I mean, people can go in with regular muscle aches and pains, and when they get out, they're like, I have nothing now. So I think it's one of those things that it's tough to get into, but once you get into, it's almost like you need it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's why people will go even over 11 minutes a week, just because it feels so good.
And talking about the group thing too, it does motivate you to get it done. I mean, I've done two cold plunges this week, and I really should be doing more, but it was because Kiki and Jared were in. We had a new member start, which we're always constantly telling our members, it's great for recovery, you should do it. And then here I am not doing it. So I'm like, nope, I got to do it. So I think making it a part of your daily routine would be really beneficial.
Yeah, and it's fun to do it in a group, just kind of any expectations and body image issues away. We're not in there to, these are your friends. These are people you work out with. It's just fun. And truthfully, all we care about is your reaction when you get into the cold plunge.
And I should really give a shout out. I should give a shout out to David, because I was like, oh, the team is in there, but David was in the sauna. And again, he's someone who does a lot of recovery. And so shout out to him, because he's another motivator for us.
Yeah.
So speaking about the sauna. Oh, go ahead.
I'll say when me, you, and Kiki cold plunged, I was like only to my chest. David's in the sauna just scolding me, like shaking his head. So I'm like, okay, I got to do at least 30 seconds fully submerged. So just part of the group, push each other, try to go with someone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So let's talk about now sauna.
My favorite.
Yeah. So why don't you kick it off?
Okay. So for the sauna, we usually aim for 4 to 7 sessions per week. 20 to 30 minute sessions would be great. When we look at temperatures, if you have a dry sauna, you want anywhere between 175 to 200 degrees. For a steam sauna and infrared temperatures, you can go a little bit lower due to the mechanism of heating. Heat exposure helps with endurance, detoxification, and even brain function. And definitely check with your doctor before a hot, cold, anything. Definitely if you are pregnant or have any cardiovascular disease, heart failure, recent heart issues, definitely want to make sure you check with your doctor before getting in the sauna or the cold plunge.
Yeah, because you do see an increase in the sauna of blood pressure, heart rate. and cardio output because we are increasing plasma levels and vasodilation. So if you have high blood pressure, just check beforehand. It can actually help with reducing it, so we don't want to say don't use it.
Mm-hmm.
But if there is some cardiovascular issues, you definitely want to check with your doc.
And definitely don't drink in sauna. Drink in cold plunge.
Oh, yes. When you say drink, you're
Oh,
talking about
alcohol.
alcoholic beverages.
Yes.
Yes. Please don't consume alcohol and plunge or be intoxicated. We actually want to drink, right, Jared?
We do want to drink.
Yes, we got to be hydrated.
Yes.
Got to stay hydrated because then you're just going to, if you're dehydrated, you sweat out whatever your body has left, and then you just might come out with a headache or feeling a little bit dizziness. So make sure you're hydrated
I've had
before
that.
sauna.
I love the sauna so much. I do it so much that one time I came out and I literally had to lay on the floor like a tile, like in the bathroom tile. I was like, whoa. I can't remember if Isla or Jack was there. I was like, I'm going to lay down for a second. It's not a good feeling and it's not safe. So do hydrate.
Don't do what Coach Isis did.
Don't do what I did.
And if you ever do feel a headache coming on in the sauna or dizziness, like just get out.
Mm-hmm.
Get out of the sauna. Get into a colder temperature. Make sure you feel okay. Get some water.
Something along the lines of hydration that I read is that because I used to take a cold ice water in the sauna, and you actually don't want to do that because you want your core temperature to rise and be hot. So definitely hydrate prior, and then immediately when you get out, try to avoid that ice cold water. Wait a little bit, maybe
Room temp.
Thank you. Water, just so you can get the full effect of what you just did.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can, as long as you've been regularly hydrating before.
You're not going to make up for it in the sauna.
No.
So just
make sure you're hydrating. If you do feel dehydrated and you are going to the sauna, bring some water. But if you're doing a good job of hydration, obviously you're going to be okay. And then like the cold plunge, timing of a sauna depends largely on primary goal. And there are some really cool things that we can do to enhance performance or enhance the performance or results of your workouts if you use a sauna afterwards. So after a very hard endurance run, if you go into a sauna immediately afterwards, you can continue that type of effect. You also get a little bit of effect like you are almost at elevation. It just continues the duration.
HSPs.
Absolutely.
So you get those on your runs,
Yeah.
long endurance, and then you get them in the sauna. The more you have, and they fade. So after, I think 48 hours is like the timing. But if you continue to do it daily and along with your exercise, you're going to be in the forefront of that.
Yeah, so if you're an endurance athlete, sauna's super important. And it can also help you tolerate heat later on when obviously we're running in very hot temperatures here in Texas. Mm-hmm. After a strength training session, again, if you get into the sauna immediately afterwards, you can enhance the response of resistance training. And you might even get an increase in testosterone, fellas.
Let's go.
So it's just one of those things, and human growth hormone. That's another one, right? And then I know Isis, one of your big things is sleep quality, right?
Yes.
So if you use a sauna to actually help get a little bit more deep sleep, hop in a sauna 1 to 2 hours before you plan on going to bed. You can also kind of get the same response if you draw a really hot bath. Mm-hmm. As we've probably talked about before when we talk about sleep, body temperatures decline before bed. And if that happens, we get a better quality of sleep. So entering a sauna shortly before bed is an easy way to increase the slope of this decline. All right. And it also just tells your body, hey, I'm ready to go.
Down.
Right?
Oh, wait. Time to go or time to wind down?
No, time to go to bed.
Oh.
Wind down. It's the same thing, right?
Okay. And if you have some extra time, do you want to talk about contrast?
Yeah.
So we suggest one or the other, but both is great as well. What we mean by that is switching between hot and cold. And that has been shown to enhance circulation and accelerate recovery. But ultimately, it depends on the goal of what you're wanting.
And I think time, right? So if we usually encourage on a contrast session, we encourage the athlete to go into the cold plunge first, right? Let's just get that going. And then you can hop out of that, towel off, and then you hop into the sauna and heat up. So again, cold plunge is still that 1 to 3 minutes. We're going to hop into the sauna. Again, with infrared, the temperatures are a little bit lower, and so you can stay in a little bit longer. So I would prefer 20 minutes because your body has to warm up. You want that sweat to happen again, then obviously we come out, towel off again, and you can hop into a cold plunge, 1 to 3 minutes again. I usually do that on a day in which I'm not working out. That's like a weekend day for me when I have extra time. Other days, I'm usually a little bit more pressed for time. So, just as far as personal experience goes on that, I like to cold plunge in the morning. It helps me get a little energy boost. For me, it helps me also with focus at the beginning part of my day when I have a lot of stuff coming my way. And then at night, as wind down, is when I would prefer to sauna. I would really love to do it right after my strength session, but I usually have another client. But if I can take advantage of that, I will, or I'll extend my sauna at night. Separating those allows me to do that more often than not, versus me dedicating a full hour or something to a recovery session. How about you guys?
Yeah, I agree. I probably would prefer to do it in the morning just because start the day off. But in the morning, my mentality is weak. So instead, I do it at around 2 o'clock, right before my workout. And then most times I will sauna right after the workout.
If it helps, I could hide behind the front desk. And when you come in, I could just bum rush you, grab you, and throw you into the cold plunge if that would.
Yeah.
Plus, you get a shot of adrenaline. Then you get dunked in the cold plunge. Dopamine. I mean,
It's either
5 a.m. class better watch out.
Best day ever or worst day ever. We'll see. We're going to take it out on the 5 a.m. class.
And then you train usually after your shift. So you probably could hop into the sauna afterwards. And with muscle gain, man,
Gotta get that
that's,
HGH.
I would be all over that, right? If I could have an ideal situation for all my clients, they would sauna right after a workout. It's simple. You don't have to change. You just lay a towel down. You sit in there after for 20 minutes. Man, that'd be killer if you had time.
Now, why is it important to end on cold?
Well, I feel like we like cold a little bit better at the end because you're going to do like a final inflammation cleanse, right? You're going to get that constriction, and then you're going to hop out and you're going to allow your body to warm up on its own. That can have a metabolic effect. And also, to me, it's kind of a reset after a nice heat session. Obviously, our body is not going to get cold on its own. So it's just one of those things. We always prefer our athletes to end on cold, again, kind of driving that inflammation out one more time before heading out on their day.
Yeah, so I think for us, we promote the ending with the cold more, like you said, to reduce inflammation, boost energy, and improve recovery. At the end of the day, we want the most recovered, right? Where the heat, if you end on the heat, it's more of that unwind, relaxed, muscle flexibility.
We want you alert on your drive back home.
All the time. And then talking earlier too, also we want the body temperature to come down before sleep. It would actually be beneficial, the more I think about it, for me to sauna and then hop in that cold plunge probably right at the end.
Depends on if that amps you up.
That's true.
Now I can do a cold plunge and sleep, but I remember the first time you do a cold plunge, I always suggest that people do it in the first half of the day because you really get that I'm ready to go tackle some things. You do that at 9 p.m.
Well, I don't go to bed at 9 p.m. Are you crazy?
That's after Isis's bedtime.
Yeah.
But if you did it at 7:30,
right,
it might kind of I don't know.
Might linger. I don't know. It's something to experiment with.
Yeah.
So we definitely encourage you to try these methods of recovery. Of course, we have the science behind when and how to do the protocols, but also listen to your body and see how it feels. I think my favorite for cold plunge my cold plunge would be after we trained for those 3 marathons in 3 days. And man, I lived off the cold plunge after our runs. And then for me, the sauna is like a relaxation. So, I mean, I could do a sauna every day. The cold plunge, not so much. But I think that contrast therapy is best for me and done on Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah. A dedicated day for contrast.
Yeah. Yeah. But I love both.
And the consistency is key here for contrast therapy, sauna or cold plunge. And the benefits that you get, the more you do it, the more consistently you do it, the more you'll benefit. And then also with the cold plunge, if you're doing it every day, you're going to know how to react, how to handle it. If you do it once, take a 3-week buffer. That first one after 3 weeks is going to feel like your first cold plunge, and it's going to be extra hard.
Yes.
So
Extra
get in that
tingly.
water.
Yeah, just go ahead and get it done, though.
Should we start a cold plunge club? Like a
that would be
like a
cool.
committed club for we could
We
have
should have
like
a sticker chart in there.
We should.
That'd be good. Yeah.
Let's do it. I want to do it.
Well, guys, if you do want to try the cold plunge or sauna at enduraLAB, come check it out and see for yourself. We would love to help you guys bring these into your daily routine. And if you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend, leave a review, and let us know your experiences with heat and cold exposure. Until next time, stay strong.
Eat well.
Keep moving.
Bye.
Peace.